All right, joins Buffalo Bills general manager Brandon Beane, who is the talk of the combine because of his shoes. I didn't know you were so stylish. The hoodie cancels out the shoes, I think.
I'm not very stylish, but I didn't know they were such a hit, but they are comfy.
You were trying to grab headlines, and you were doing it with your footwear. As we get ready for these next couple months, what is your top priority? I know you got a lot of things you got to do.
Yeah.
What's the most important thing?
Well, right now the most important thing is getting our cap in order and doing what moves we have to do to get into the league year, and then see what players we can get back, and then what players can we fill in some holes to prepare us for the draft. We always want to be able to draft best available.
Yeah.
And if you're walking in the draft with several glaring holes, that becomes harder to do that.
Is best available only true if you're not in a position where you are trying to win now? I know that you're still trying to lean best available, but what if you are in this window that you guys are in? Does that kind of become less important?
Listen, you're always balancing things, and I think when you're talking about best available, if you're looking for, I'm just going to make a position. If you're looking for a defensive end, okay, and you've got a cornerback and you're in the first round, you got a cornerback with a first round grade, and you got a defensive end that the next highest is at the bottom of 2 or top of 3. That's what I'm talking about with best available is. You got this corner who's rated way up here. Why would you reach down there? You would either take the corner or trade back and try and get this player at more of their value.
Yeah.
Because you're setting that player up for potential failure. People are going to expect first-round player when really you didn't have him graded there.
I want to get to the salary cap, but I also want to ask you, the draft, there's always one position that people fall in love with. I know you can't do that, but this year it's wide receiver. And the fan base is wondering, will this finally be the year that they draft a wide receiver early? What's your initial impression on the class, knowing that it's still the beginning of the combine?
I think it's a pretty good class. I mean, I think we're going to have a decent amount of receiver classes most years, just with all the 7-on-7s and the passing game. And I mean, you go watch Pop Warner football, they're throwing the ball. When I played Pop Warner football, if you threw the ball twice a game, they were yelling at the coach for throwing too much. So it's just the game has evolved. There's 7-on-7s. There's high schools running spreads and middle school and all that. So there's more receivers. There's more quarterbacks. There's it feels like there's more and more for the passing game, even on the opposite side on defense. Corners and defensive backs.
For your salary cap, I know that you guys in 2018 kind of had to reset things.
Yeah.
Where is it now? Like on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being you got no wiggle room at all, and 1 being we can do whatever we want. Where would you rate yourselves?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you have a quarterback that you're paying, and now we've now been paying Josh for 3 years on his new deal. You're going into year 4. It gets tighter because we've had to push it down. A number of where it is, it's probably between 5 and 10. You know what I'm saying? We're not at 0, but we're not at 10 either. We got things we can do, and again, we're trying to set it up to not walk into 1 year and be 100 and some million over with very few things to do, and you're just going, how are we even going to compete this year?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to avoid. It is getting harder though, because again, we've had to play the game of put stuff on the credit card and back it up.
As somebody who builds a roster, do you feel better about the team that you build when you go out and you get a couple big name guys? I'm not saying that just the name matters, or when you fill a bunch of different holes and build a bunch of different depth. No, Von Miller's, the pie in the sky comparison here, but how do you feel? What is your approach to that?
Yeah, my approach is, what do we need? Do we need, we felt a couple years ago, the Von Miller example, we needed a closer, was kind of what we were for, a guy that can go get one of these top quarterbacks down at a big moment. And honestly, we thought Von was doing that through, he had some big sacks for us, 8 total in the 9 or 10 games he played. Unfortunately, an ACL set him back, and obviously, set him back last year. But we thought that was what we needed. This past season, we filled with a lot of value. We did go out and get a Connor McGovern to, the line is very important, but we hit on a lot of guys that we thought were lower until we got Leonard Floyd later, when his market kind of dropped a little bit and fit into our range. So, both years they bring their own like, okay, that worked out pretty good. But, we'll see this year what it looks like. We, first things first is getting cap compliant.
When do you think you'll have an answer on your safety position? When do you think you'll know how you build your team moving forward with those two pieces who have been here for so long?
Yeah, I mean, we're still waiting on Micah, and you don't rush that. You let him go. But, I'll meet with, his agent, Jack Beck, at some point down here, and we'll have that conversation and see where they're at. And obviously there's a finance piece to it, even if he says he's coming back. And so, as I was saying earlier to the whole mass, like 7 seasons with those two guys, whenever the time comes, if it's this year, if it's next year, that you have to move on, it's going to be very hard to replace what they've brought to this team.
Last one for me. What do you need to do this offseason? What is the absolute most important thing that happens in the next 2 months for the Buffalo Bills?
We got to find new pieces. I mean, without getting specific, like we need to find whatever tweaks we have to make. We'll have to see what players we bring back, get the ones back that we can afford, that we want, and then we got to knock this draft out. Like that's very important. And we've got 10 picks right now, and so we need to make the most of those because we're going to rely on maybe more this year than we've had to in the past.
I lied. I have one more, and you said you have 10 picks. I'm glad you said now because I'm not anticipating that you use all 10 of them. We'll see how anxious you get on draft day. The last one, I guess, for real this time. Is the window closed? I turn on the TV, I'll turn on the radio, I'll read stuff, and everybody's got a different opinion on this. What's your take?
Yeah, I don't subscribe to the window is closed. This league starts with a franchise quarterback, and if Josh was 41 years old, I would say the window may be almost closed. But you're talking about a guy who's still in his 20s, who he'll still get better, just with more experience and more reps. You've seen guys play, and that's where it starts. Yes, some years you're going to have more weapons on offense. Some years your defense is going to be the game. Your team is constantly changing due to the business facts of it. But the window is not going to close for this team. Whether I'm, here in X number of years, as long as Josh Allen is here, until he's approaching 40, the window ain't closed.
All right, that's Brandon Beane, Buffalo Bills general manager here at the Combine.